ladies and gentlemen, to Fan Appreciation Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a comedy from 2009. That movie is Dynamite. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I don't know a lot about this movie. The only thing I really know about it is the fact that it was spun off into an animated series that runs on Adult Swim. I've seen most of that series, and I find the show to be incredibly funny and incredibly witty, and I know that the stars of the show are reprising their roles from the movie. I know a lot of the episodes were written by the same people who wrote the movie. So I'm hoping that my knowledge of the show and my love of the show means that this thing is going to be as witty and as funny. However, I have no earthly clue, and the only way I'm going to find out, guys, if this sucker is any good at all, is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Dynamite. You know, guys, there is something incredibly funny about listening to Dynamite's time in Vietnam. I don't know if it's because he refers to all of the Vietnamese as Chinese. I don't know if it's the fact that he can, with no problem, talk about how there were, like, body parts, like, hanging off of a ceiling fan. But the whole thing is fucking hilarious. I'm absolutely loving this. You know, guys, this movie is so lovably cheesy. I am absolutely adoring every frame of this movie. God damn, guys, I totally had high hopes going in. I was not expecting the movie to be this fucking good, man. I'm loving this sucker, man. You want to know, guys, what really makes this whole movie just look awesome? It is the extreme attention to detail. I'm going to tell you guys right now, every piece of clothing, every car I've seen, every building, both interior and exterior, all look like they came out of the 1970s, and it really helps set the overall tone and mood of this film. And it is that kind of attention to detail I fucking adore, man. So the villain's plan is to spike malt liquor so it makes black people's dicks smaller? Oh, and we even get to see the little baby dick too. I was not expecting that. I honestly think that the evil plan, as far as evil plans go, is creative. Kind of stupid, but at least it's creative. So the final fight is going to be between Dynamite and a nunchuck-wielding Kung Fu Richard Nixon. You know, guys, first of all, I never thought I would ever say nunchuck-wielding Kung Fu Richard Nixon. That is probably the coolest goddamn thing I have ever heard of. I'm certainly hoping that this final fight is as awesome as the concept of Kung Fu Nixon. Well, guys, that was Dynamite. Oh my god, that was so amazing. Let me shut that off. Okay, so where to start? Well, I guess I should start with the writing, because, you see, guys, this movie is, at its very core, a spoof on blaxploitation films. And that is a very difficult genre to really nail. Because I've seen two other blaxploitation parodies in my lifetime. At least two of them I can name right off the top of my head. And those were the Wayans brothers' I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, which was fun, but didn't really feel like a blaxploitation film. I mean, it just sort of felt like it knew of them and it knew how to reference them, but didn't really know how to spoof them. And then there was the Insane Clown Posse's Big Money Hustlers. Again, a fun movie that was trying to ape the style and nose of blaxploitation films, but outside of that movie having fucking Dolomite in it, it really doesn't, classify or, qualify as a decent blaxploitation spoof. This movie, on the other hand, looks, sounds, and feels like it came out of the 1970s. Part of that has to do with the writing. See, guys, one thing about blaxploitation films, something that was common in a whole lot of them that I myself have seen, is you normally have rogue cops, drugs, corrupt cops, corrupt fucking politicians, martial arts usually gets worked in. All of that is present in this film. All of it's present in spades. And the whole thing is written with this incredibly sharp wit to it. And you are going to find yourself smiling, giggling, and laughing at everything. And it's not just the dialogue. There also, guys, are moments in there that were spoofing how blaxploitation films were shot, because most of those were shot ultra fast on a small budget. So you would have horrendous jump cuts. You'd have obvious stunt fucking doubles. You would have all of that. All of that is in here. In fact, one of the funniest cases of a jump cut, one of the weird, like, jump cut to obvious stuntman moments is during the fight in the pool hall, where Bullhorn is doing his whole, like, hand jive deal, and he accidentally strikes the actor he's supposed to be fighting. He wasn't, and mind you, in the, I guess, like, meta fucking world of black fucking Dynamite, he wasn't supposed to strike the actor. The actor looks at him all cross. It then jumps to a black screen for about a quarter of a second, and then it jumps right back into Bullhorn punching the obvious stunt double. It worked really well. It was incredibly funny. One other thing that appeared in a lot of blaxploitation films, again, because they were made ultra fast, they didn't have a lot of time for multiple takes, were things like visible boom mics. There's one instance of a visible boom mic, and it is done intentionally. And it's way early on in the film, as our lead character, as Black Dynamite, is given this big speech. You can see a boom mic hanging down in the shot, and as Michael Jai White is trying to give this fucking monologue, he can't help but keep looking up at the boom mic. I believe he maybe looks at it about 3 times. It's a real subtle thing, and you really have to be looking for it. But god damn it, that was so absolutely funny, and it was so perfectly shot. Everything here, guys, was written in the tightest fashion possible. Every single joke nails it and hits it perfectly. Every single actor absolutely kills in this film. I might as well jump over to acting, because, you know, guys, one thing that kind of sort of makes this sort of film work is the acting. And the acting here from our entire cast is great, including the actors who are supposed to sound like they're acting badly, because there are certain instances, because this again is another thing that was in a lot of these blaxploitation films. If you were a bit player, if you were in like one scene, if you had like 1 or 2 lines of dialogue, odds are they fucking cast you at the last second. You had no fucking, you had no fucking experience acting, so most of those characters always sounded awful because the actors had no clue what the fuck they were doing. So when we have here the scant few characters who are in there for like one scene, such as the doctor who's treating Dynamite's bullet wound, his acting is so purposely cheesy and stilted, and it works. It works because it works because of what kind of film we are talking about here. That is the exact kind of performance you would have gotten out of an actual blaxploitation film from the 1970s from someone who's in there for one scene. Same thing can be said about the orphans. Same thing can be said about the hookers. Same thing can be said about every other character who's in for one scene and is never seen again. All of them give a purposely stilted performance, and it works really, really well. And naturally that works out more with children, because children normally aren't as gifted when it comes to acting, because they don't have any of the experience. But it still works, and it works really well. Something else that also makes this whole thing work as a beautiful, perfect satire of all things blaxploitation is the insane attention to detail. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, one thing that you'll notice in any film that is trying to look like it came from another time period is you will oftentimes find stuff that just doesn't fit. Whether it's a song that just should not be there, or a car that looks way too fucking new, a building that looks way too modern, a satellite dish on a fucking roof in a movie that's supposed to be set in the 60s. None of that is here. Everything, Guys, I am not just talking about the cars, the buildings, all of that looks like it came right out of the 1970s. Every single interior shot looks like it came out of a building that hasn't been touched since 1974. Every single prop looks like it came out of the 1970s. Guys, it takes an absolutely demented amount of detail to find a phone that looks like it would perfectly fit in the 1970s. And god damn it, they found multiple phones for multiple scenes. Every single phone and candle and piece of furniture all looks like it came out of the 1970s, which tells me that the people who worked on this movie probably spent a ridiculous amount of time just going to every single Goodwill, Salvation Army, and resale shop and thrift store trying to find all the shit they could find. Every article of clothing looks like it came directly out of the 1970s. All of that makes this film feel that much more genuine. It makes it feel like a true love letter to these films. Guys, if you want to know exactly how wild the fucking detail is here, I spoke earlier about the pool hall. In the background of the pool hall is a cigarette machine. I have not seen a cigarette machine like that since I was a child. And I was a child in the 1980s, and at that point, those were old cigarette machines, ones that had been in those buildings for a decade or longer. So even the cigarette machine, something that is never referenced, looked at, or even touched in the film, is directly out of the 1970s. It is that kind of attention to detail, that beautiful attention to detail, that makes this whole thing feel that much better. And guys, it's not just the props and the costumes, it's also the film. The whole thing looks like it was shot with an old 16mm camera. I don't know if they shot it with an actual 16mm camera, or if they shot it in high def and started throwing filters on it to make it look like it came from the 1970s. God damn it, it looks perfect. It looks absolutely beautiful. Our camera work is kind of sort of shaky. Again, that's something that comes with blaxploitation films. Our soundtrack sounds like it came directly out of the 1970s. And Black Dynamite has got a theme which is even catchier than fucking Dolomite's theme. For fuck's sake, man, everything about this movie is beautiful. I will say, though, that as much as I've praised this movie for its startling attention to detail, because they spent so much time doing all of that, making sure that every costume, every prop, every set, every building, every car came directly out of the 1970s, the problem is when they have to resort to CG, it stands out like a sore thumb. So when our evil kung fu master is set on fire and his head and shoulders are burning and it's very obvious CG flame, it really stands out, and it stands out like a sore thumb. When we see a Secret Service agent firing a rocket launcher and the rocket and the smoke coming out of the rocket launcher is clearly CG, it stands out. Now normally, guys, that to me would be a huge negative. But guess what? I'm going to tell you right now. Every single one of those obvious CG shots, you can probably count them on one fucking hand. Okay? They are that few. And that is probably because if they had to use any other CG, they hit it incredibly well. Everything in this movie beyond that, though, is squibs and rubber fucking heads and limbs anytime a character has to lose a head or a limb. And it looks fantastic. Lighting here is great. Our sound mix is awesome. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, am I able to recommend Black Dynamite? Oh, fuck yes. This is without a doubt one of the best satires I have ever seen. I, guys, was kind of worried when I saw a blurb on the back. The blurb says, and I quote, "The best piece of cinematic satire since The Naked Gun." That is a lofty height to reach. And I really thought that the person who gave that blurb was giving this film a little bit too much credit. And then I pushed play. And my God, it totally is. This is by far the best This is the best satirical film I have seen in ages. In fact, the last good one, last genuinely great one, was probably The Naked Fucking Gun. They were totally right. That blurb nails it. I can absolutely recommend this thing, guys. We have awesome writing, stellar acting, special effects that look beautiful. If you have ever seen a blaxploitation film, if you've ever seen multiple blaxploitation films, and you want to see a perfect spoof, a perfect satire, a perfect parody, perfect anything, referencing them, boom! This son of a bitch is the perfect thing for you to see. My God, guys, this movie is gorgeously awesome. I absolutely love how every little detail, from writing to props to, filming to editing, all of it is perfect. This movie is amazing. I can absolutely recommend it. Now, because it is Fan Appreciation Month, Black Dynamite came off the Amazon wish list. I would love to give the person who sent this thing a shout out, but I don't know who in the hell sent it. I absolutely don't. This thing showed up and it did not have an invoice. So I don't know who sent it that way. I never got a message on YouTube or Facebook telling me who, sent it, which is a real shame, because I would love to thank the person who sent this in. To whoever sent me Black Dynamite, I thank you. I was really curious about this, especially after I watched the animated series. I really wanted to see how the movie that spawned that show was. And oh my God, this movie is fantastic. And I thank you, whoever sent this. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You fucking rock. I now have a new parody satire film. This sucker is absolute solid gold, man. And guess what? I was getting such fond memories of the show watching this. I actually bought the first season on Blu-ray as I was watching this. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to watch, the show for probably about a week until the Blu-ray comes in. But good news is, the star of this film is Michael Jai White. I know one other movie that he was in that I absolutely adored, and that was Spawn. I do have Spawn on Blu-ray. I'm going to go and watch that, because damn it, I need a little bit more Michael Jai White in my fucking life. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.